5. Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks finish higher as Wall Street navigates through uncertainty amid a trade war. The S&P 500 jumped over 2%. It's coming off its first winning week after a 4-week losing streak. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 1.4%. The Nasdaq Composite rose 1.7%. Wall Street remains focused on how tariffs would eventually impact inflation, consumer spending, and economic growth. Stocks have been riding waves of hope and worry as tariffs are announced, then either implemented or pulled. Genetics testing company 23andMe plunged after it announced over the weekend it had initiated voluntary bankruptcy proceedings. The Dow up 598 points to close at 42,583. The Nasdaq gained 404 points to 18,188. The S&P 500 added 100 to 5767. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear with a low temperature dipping to 46 this evening. Tomorrow looking great. Mostly sunshine-filled skies, the high up to 78. We'll keep this pattern the rest of the work week with mostly sunny skies and a high temperature in the mid-70s. No rain after today until maybe on Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, it's a manic Monday here on Sports Talk. It's one of the darkest days of the year, if you ask me, if you're a college sports fan, with the Portal John window opening for basketball. So they are jumping ship like rats, over 500 in the Portal John already, and it hasn't even been open like 24 hours yet. And when you figure, Chris Bergen, there's about 350 or so Division I programs. Not saying all these are Division I, but the majority certainly are Division I. That means on average, every program is losing 1 point something players today.
Yeah.
It's like the stock market. You lose this much in a day. On average, every team in the country is losing 1 point something players. For those of you who haven't heard, here in South Carolina, 2 Clemson players are going into the transfer, Chauncey Wiggins and Dell Jones, and South Carolina, Nick Pringle. Let's talk about that to kick things off. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. I really wouldn't want to be a college sports fan today. I really wouldn't. I mean, who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting for? You cannot hardly develop relationships with your players anymore. Maybe a few here and there. I guess it's truly all about the name on the front and not the name on the back, because the name on the back changes every 6 months. Name on the front, that stays there. But in the case of these 3 guys announcing plans today to enter the portal, and there could be more, I'm really surprised at Dell Jones, because here was a guy, pretty highly acclaimed guard from Maryland who went to high school in Arizona, came into Clemson and got some good playing time as a true freshman, and I thought he'd be the answer moving forward at point guard for Clemson. He brought an extra bit of energy, I thought, to the lineup anytime he was on the court. He's just fast, good ball handler, a guy you can develop. If he stays around, a guy you can develop. Chauncey Wiggins, 3 years in the program, had his best year this year in terms of his averages, minutes per game, scoring, rebounding, kind of tailed off down the stretch. really Clemson got better, started winning a bunch of – well, they were winning pretty much all along, but when Chauncey Wiggins was sick before the Duke game and that put Dylan Hunter in the lineup, Clemson took off at that point. They really played well with that three-guard lineup and Dylan Hunter in there. And then he gets hurt, breaks his hand in the ACC tournament. Wiggins goes back in, and they lose their next two games. So, but he's a 6'9", 6'10" kid who can shoot the three. He didn't shoot it particularly well down the stretch. Then again, not many on the Clemson team did. So he'll find a home somewhere. And then Nick Pringle from South Carolina. This one is a real head-scratcher for me. This is a real head-scratcher for me. Now, listen. You have to remember that we're all outsiders. We're not inside the family. We're not embedded in the programs. We're not members of the players' families, and we don't know the dynamics. You know, maybe Dale Jones didn't like Clemson. Maybe he didn't like Brad Brownell, vice versa. I don't know. Or maybe they love each other. He just decided to go somewhere else, or his agent or somebody said, hey, we can get you a better deal somewhere else. I don't know. Up at Clemson, according to Larry Williams of Tiger Illustrated, the basketball team's going to get 11% of the pie. The football team's going to get 86% of the $20.5 million. Men's basketball will get 11%. So let me add that up. 6 and 1, carry the 1. That's 97. 80, that's 97% of the pie. So that means 3% for everybody else. The crumbs. Have fun fighting over the crumbs. So basketball,
especially the best program they've got on campus right now. I'm sure Eric Bakich has got to be doing backflips over that.
Well,
considering how well the Tigers are playing,
he's going to be with us at 7:05, so we can ask him that question if he knows how to do a backflip. But anyway, so maybe it's that. You know, maybe it's money. Maybe there's greener pastures. Nick Pringle, South Carolina kid, who started out at Wofford, went to a junior college, 2 years at Alabama, comes to South Carolina, had a decent year this year, not spectacular, but decent, enough to be a starter in all the games and contribute in a big way, about 10 points and about, 8 rebounds a game? That's good numbers. 6 rebounds. Yeah. That's good numbers. Maybe he could have picked up the rebounding a little bit. Those are good numbers. So, and he does have, if I'm doing the figuring right here, so he's already played 4 years of major college basketball and a year of junior college. But one of those 4 years at Wofford, one of his year at Wofford was a COVID year. So he gets that year back. And he could get a ruling on that junior college year and get that year back. So technically he could have 2 years left if he wanted to continue playing college basketball. Now they're saying the report with him was also that he's looking into the NBA as well. So this is one that is a head scratcher for me because you kind of thought, okay, he's back at South Carolina from Alabama. He went to Whale Branch. He's back home in the state. He played a prominent role. His role will be even more increased next year. Probably has I would imagine he has a decent NIL deal. Maybe not enough. But again, who knows? Maybe we don't know. Maybe he doesn't like Lamont Paris. Maybe Lamont Paris doesn't like him. Maybe his girlfriend moves somewhere else. Who knows? There could be all kind of other factors involved. The point is, they all have the freedom to do this after 1 year, as do coaches. As it appears Chris Mack, according to Andrew Miller of the Post and Courier, and you saw this story, so you can give details, after 1 year at Charleston, may be headed back to Xavier to replace Sean Miller, who left to go to Texas. So I did hear Sean Miller was seen in a Hall's Chop House in Austin, Texas, having dinner. So
that story will never die, will it?
So I'm sure.
Well, you talk about being so wrong on a coaching search. You could not have been more wrong on that.
I'm sure that I'm sure it's true now. But anyway, so coaches can leave after 1 year and break their contracts, and players now they don't even have contracts that tie them in. They can just up and leave and go to where they think it's better. Sometimes it'll work out, and sometimes it won't work out, and you just keep on moving. You become a vagabond. So that's the headlines around here. What do you make of it?
Well, first off, Phil, to your point about coaches can move on just like players can, fans are never going to get overly upset about coaches moving on. You pull for, let's say, Coastal Carolina, College of Charleston, or Winthrop, you kind of expect that to happen. You pull for South Carolina and Clemson, normally when they move on, that's because they've done a poor job and you're ready for them to go out the door. The players are a different story, fairly or unfairly. We're always going to criticize the players for trying to do what they believe is in their best interest. And to Nick Pringle, his decision to get into the transfer portal just astonished me. Because first off, here's a guy that a week or so ago came out publicly and said the one thing that South Carolina needs to add to the team next year was veteran type players, like the Gamecocks had 2 seasons ago when they made the run to the NCAA tournament. They were an older team. And when Nick Pringle says that type deal, considering he's an older guy, you kind of anticipate, okay, these are the guys he wants lined up beside him to run out on the floor next year and help the Gamecocks bounce back and maybe make another run towards the NCAA tournament. When he says that kind of stuff, if you're Lamont Paris, I'm thinking you've got to feel pretty good about keeping Nick Pringle, and he can be one of your building blocks, especially if Colin Murray Boyles is out the door either to the NBA or somewhere else. And I was stunned when I saw Nick Pringle was transferring. I thought he had a pretty decent year at South Carolina, but as you mentioned, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe Lamont Paris did the numbers, and maybe he's thinking, you know what, I'm going to go up the road and get Ben Middlebrooks to come in. Because did you see that? Ben Middlebrooks from NC State, he's now in the transfer portal too. Maybe he can go back to Clemson and replace Chauncey Wiggins, and they can do another trade between the Tigers and Wolfpack.
How about that? I would say, but you bring up an interesting point. So if you're South Carolina, what do you need worse than anything else? Well, you need everything, but what do you need worse than anything else? You need a point guard. Why not go after Jones from Clemson? You know, he'd be a perfect fit for anybody looking for a point guard, I would say. And if you're Clemson, if you're Brad Brownell, and you need a big to replace Victor Locken, well, why don't you go after Nick Pringle? He could do the South Carolina trifecta: Wofford, South Carolina, Clemson. It's all out there on the table. There are no limits now when it comes to player acquisition, and it makes for strange bedfellows for sure. Because we've seen it. We've seen players from Clemson at South Carolina. We've seen more of that than the other way around. We've seen more Clemson players land at South Carolina. I'm thinking about Tavian Feaster in football for one. The baseball players. Haven't seen it in basketball that I can remember. So we'll see what happens. But that revolving door now is revolving at full speed. Okay. Welcome in. We haven't welcomed people into the show. What's up, Plumber? How are you? Plumber's feeling good because the Gators survived the weekend, huh?
Go Gators.
Win and survive.
You better teach them how to shoot free throws. They about blew it yesterday because of that.
They didn't.
And they better tighten that up, or they're not going to win the national championship. They're good enough to win it all, but except when they go miss free throws like they did yesterday. I was sweating bullets because that would have been pretty much the death nail in my bracket because of that.
I still have
fix
Duke.
that problem, Plumber.
I still have Duke alive as my championship pick, but I am in our competition. I am in 22nd place after the first 2 rounds. Where are you? Have you checked?
Yes, I'm in the 30s.
Y'all need to check and report back where you are in the standings. I'm 22nd. Our leader is ESPN fan 48.
That bunch of numbers.
Got a whole bunch of numbers. He did not put in a specialized name, so I hope we can identify you if you win. Our leader has 98.2% of his picks correct after the first 2 rounds.
Very solid.
Yeah, he's well ahead. He's well ahead of our second place guy, who is Pruitt Picks, and he picked Florida to win it all. He's at 96.7%. Actually, we've got like 3 or 4 people tied there at 96.7.
Smart man.
So you can, of course, monitor if you're in the competition. You can monitor it, of course, at the bracket 2025 Sports Talk bracket battle. All right.
See, Josh is sitting pretty well. The problem is Josh had Clemson going to the Final Four, and that heart pick is going to cost him. See, I'm going to be able to track both of you guys down because if you look at the amount of points that are still available, I'm in a better position than either one of you, even though I'm sitting behind you guys right now.
You bought into that, huh? You bought into that.
I've got
hype.
a better opportunity.
Clemson was out of the Final Four 4 minutes into the game.
They didn't belong in the first four,
and then
much less the Final Four.
Goes out and gets blasted by Purdue. I mean, Clemson and Purdue would have been a much better. I mean, McNeese just put it all together against Clemson. They probably thought they won the national championship. They were happy. Will Wade was happy with that. Kind of feels like they won the national championship themselves by beating the Tigers. All right, coming up on the show tonight, and our phone number is 888-898-2525. We're going to get to your phone calls here in a little bit, but we are very, very busy tonight because things are happening all over the place. Got a lot of stuff going on. Spring football back at Clemson. Spring football continues at South Carolina. We'll hear from Mike Shula, first-year offensive coordinator for the Gamecocks. He and Clayton White updated the media today on the progress so far in their first few days. Hear from Clayton White tomorrow. Hear from Shula tonight. Offense always goes first ahead of the defense. Just one of those things here. Also, Jim Toman will be along at 7:35, just a bit outside, with his thoughts on the weekend, and with deeper thoughts on his team's weekend. Coach Eric Bakich from Clemson at 7:05 live with us tonight. So, looking forward to having him. Tomorrow night I'll be up in Charlotte at the park there. Truist Field or Park?
Truist Field, I think is what it's called.
Truist Field. Be up there for the annual South Carolina-North Carolina game. Not a lot of, from a Gamecock standpoint, not a lot of excitement right now, Bergie, on the Gamecock side of things from a baseball standpoint after this weekend.
They were embarrassingly bad this weekend in the field, on the mound, and really when they had an opportunity to get back in the game on Saturday after giving up 8 runs, they score 3 in the second and have your best hitter up there with the bases loaded, and Ethan Petrie hits into a fielder's choice, if memory serves, to end the inning, and they never threatened again. And then yesterday, pretty solid effort, 4-4, and then all of a sudden your bullpen just disappears, and you give up 7 runs in the 8th inning, you get blown out again. The bottom line is, Phil, they're just not a very good baseball team. And in comparison to teams like Clemson, like Arkansas, certainly like what they're going to see this weekend out of Tennessee, they're just way behind. And Paul Maneri's got a lot of work to do. And I fear part of his thing he's going to have to do is get the fan base back.
Mm-hmm. No question about it.
My prediction this weekend is they'll not have a sellout unless Tennessee brings a bunch of people. They'll not have anywhere close to a sellout all 3 games against a team that could win another national championship in Tennessee this weekend.
Absolutely. Yeah, they didn't sell it out. I mean, they might sell out the tickets, but as far as butts in the seats, I was there for all the Oklahoma games, and place wasn't packed. They had decent crowds, but place wasn't packed. But fans are fans. If you're not winning, they ain't showing up. And the Gamecocks do not look like program. They do not look like a good baseball team right now. Pitching is just a mess. They're going to start Sweeney on the mound tomorrow against North Carolina. Take him out of the bullpen. I mean, they're struggling. The fielding has been inconsistent. Tippett had to go in and replace shortstop because of error. He went and played yesterday. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lee Croy was out of the lineup yesterday. I don't know if his injury was bothering him or was a performance-related thing. So we will we'll be there tomorrow. We'll be in Birmingham the end of this week with the South Carolina women's basketball team as we go along with the USC women as they got past Indiana. We'll hear a little bit from Dawn Staley coming up tonight. We will be we will be in Birmingham later this week. And if they win,
that's one team at USC you can count on, Gamecock fans. You can count on the women's basketball team to deliver. Even yesterday, did not play very well offensively in the first half, but whatever Dawn Staley told them at halftime lit a fire under their backside. Defensively, they were as good as they've been all year in the third quarter and just flipped that game completely on its head.
And they're waiting on the winner of Maryland and Alabama. That'll be their opponent. They're in the third quarter, and Alabama is leading 50-45. So if Alabama wins, boy, the fans, the Crimson Tide fan base is going to be heavily divided because their men are still playing. If their women win, they're going to be playing in Birmingham. The Gamecocks will be facing a very hostile crowd.
Think so?
Yeah. Don't you think the Alabama fans are going to pack the place?
It wouldn't surprise me if Carolina has more fans there than Alabama does.
That would surprise me. It
wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Oklahoma beat Iowa. That's a 6-3, 96-62. LSU is leading Florida State 22-17. So we'll keep you up to date on that. That's all pertinent. After these games, I guess they'll set the game times for the Sweet 16 games in Birmingham and in Spokane, Washington. Okay, we got just an absolute full show for you, and recruiting as well, and a bunch of notes to tell you about, including what's happening in round 2 of the Hootie Intercollegiate at Bulls Bay. Purdue is your leader after 2 rounds at 22 under. Furman is in second, along with the College of Charleston at 16 under. And South Carolina sits in fourth at 12 under with 1 round to play. And we'll be back. Take your phone calls.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a dentist. I want to be an engineer.
Making dreams come true starts with making a plan. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to invest in a child's future education so they can chase any dream. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax-deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com.
Imagine a scrapbook filled with all your favorite memories of 75 years at Darlington Raceway. Now imagine that scrapbook going 190 miles per hour.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
You don't have to imagine. You need to get to Darlington, where the drivers of today tackle the track too tough to tame, just like they did your first time. NASCAR Throwback Weekend at Darlington Raceway, April 5th and 6th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Some credit cards hit you with sky-high rates, annual fees, and surprise costs, but not here. Founders Federal Credit Union is proud to offer credit cards with rates below the national average, giving you more control over your finances. Our Essential MasterCard rates are as low as 13.25% APR. Our rewards cards start at just 15.25% APR. So you can earn while you spend. And the best part, there are no annual fees and no balance transfer fees, just straightforward savings, designed to keep more of your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your hands. So whether you're looking to consolidate debt, build credit, or just want a smarter way to spend, we've got the right card for you. Visit foundersfcu.com/cc to learn more or apply for a new credit card today. Relax, you're with Founders Federal Credit Union. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
These are the days when you wish your bed was already made. It's just another manic Monday. Wish it was Sunday. That's my
On our text message line, 803-900-4847, Dave writes, if the last second shot is a layup, the USC women will lose. Thanks, Dave. Dave, are they not very good at layups? None of these girls are good at layups.
I was going to say that's universal in women's basketball.
Yep.
Layups and free throws will win you a lot of games in the women's game.
Okay, to the phones we go. 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you. We'll get to those calls in just a second, as soon as Josh gets them lined up and tells me where we're going. In the meantime, I'll tell you where you can go. You know where you can go? You can go straight to the beach. I want you to go straight to the beach, and I want you to call Jimmy Smith and let Jimmy Smith help you go straight to the beach. 843-237-4246, 843-237-4246 for your perfect beach getaway, Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. You know the drill. You're looking for a place to stay. You don't know exactly how to do it, where to find it. That's why Jimmy and his staff are there to take care of that for you. 843-237-4246, Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. All right, Hank in Columbia up first tonight on Sports Talk. Welcome in, sir.
Hey, Corn. You must haven't been to an Alabama girls basketball game lately. When they played earlier this year at Alabama, Carolina had 3/4 of the fans in their arena, and that was in Tuscaloosa when they were on campus, much less 2 hours away. And then you always got to remember that Carolina always felt like they were going to be in Birmingham.
Well, first of
So
all,
there were a lot of tickets scoffed up way back in November when they sent us the link that it was open.
Tuscaloosa is not 2 hours away from Birmingham, but I hear what you're saying.
It's an hour and a half. I go to Birmingham each month. It's about an hour. He's looking at it about an hour and a half.
How is it possible that you have an answer for every thing that comes up on this show? If I had said Topeka, Kansas, you would have said, well, listen, I go to Topeka once a month, and I know exactly how far Topeka is from Kansas.
It's called being otherworldly.
I understand.
Those regional
So you're
tickets,
telling me a bunch of Gamecock fans are going to be in Birmingham. They're going to overwhelm the Alabama fans.
When you can drive down and you pretty much know you're going to probably be in Birmingham. That's one thing with the girls' tournament, that you can figure out where you're going to be early depending on what type your team is. So you're able to buy up tickets quick.
Have you already bought your tickets for next year? You already got your reservations booked for next year?
I already got them. But what I was calling you about wasn't about girls basketball. I was calling you, teaching you about boys. Remember you got in a little kerfuffle with Mike Morgan about the ACC, and was the SEC really good?
Mm-hmm.
And the SEC men set a record for the number of people going into the Sweet 16 with 17.
They did.
And depending on what happens tonight, the women could have 8 in the Sweet 16.
Yep. It's the almighty SEC.
Alabama's definitely going. They're up 17 late third quarter now.
They're up now 17. Kiss the ring of Greg Sankey. Thank you very much. We'll see. I mean, how many Gamecock fans are going to bust to Birmingham? I mean, will they have 5,000? 10,000? The place seats about, 18,000 or so, I think. Be right back with more calls.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear with a low temperature dipping to 46 this evening. Tomorrow looking great. Mostly sunshine-filled skies, the high up to 78. We'll keep this pattern the rest of the work week with mostly sunny skies and a high temperature in the mid-70s. No rain after today until maybe on Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Top national security officials for President Trump, including his defense secretary, texted war plans for upcoming military strikes in Yemen to a group chat in a secure messaging app that included the editor-in-chief for The Atlantic. This was reported by the magazine in a story posted online Monday. The National Security Council says the text chain appears to be authentic. Austin, Texas police say they're investigating several incendiary devices found at a Tesla dealership on the city's north side. Monday's incident is the latest in a series targeting the company owned by billionaire Elon Musk. Austin police say officers responding to a report of hazardous materials found the devices and called in the city's bomb squad. On Wall Street, the Dow by 589 points. This is SRN News.
Nobody plans for a plumbing problem. They come unannounced and usually at a very inconvenient time. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is your trusted ally. They recognize just how vulnerable a customer is at this time, and they want to help. They have well-trained plumbers who are there to make a difference when you need it most. I've experienced this. They're knowledgeable about their craft. They're not coming to your house to pitch new products. If something is broken, they'll give you a price to fix it if it's possible, or a price to replace it if necessary. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is also locally owned and operated, or I simply wouldn't endorse them. Josh and his team prioritize customer service above everything else. They handle every issue with care and precision. Those are not just words. I've had Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning out to my home. They back up those words with their actions. If you have a crisis, get some peace of mind. Online, you find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com or you call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. I'm absolutely positive they will make whatever is wrong right again. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. cleaning.
If you step onto H&J Cattle's farm, you'll find third-generation farmers upholding the legacy. They embrace sustainability and take immense pride in their craft, raising cattle purely on nature's offerings, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. The result? Unmatched quality beef that's not just good, it's the best in South Carolina. Experience the distinct flavor of our finest registered Hereford and Wagyu beef. Visit us online at hdjcattle.com or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle.
Some credit cards hit you with sky rates, annual fees, and surprise costs, but not here. Founders Federal Credit Union is proud to offer credit cards with rates below the national average, giving you more control over your own finances. Our Essential MasterCard rates are as low as 13.25 APR. Prefer rewards? Our rewards cards start at just 15.25% APR, so you can earn while you spend. And the best part? There are no annual fees and no balance transfer fees. Just straightforward savings designed to keep more of your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your hands. So whether you're looking to consolidate debt, build credit, or just want a smarter way to spend, we've got the right card for you. Visit foundersfederal.com/cc to learn more or apply for a new credit card today. Relax. You're with Founders Federal Credit Union. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
Tune in at 6, don't miss the vibe. South Carolina's pride, we're live. Sports Talk's the place to be. From the court to the field, we're breaking news free. Join the team, follow X for more. We're taking over, that's for sure. Corn's insight, Bergen's wit, Cohen's energy. They're the perfect fit. 2 hours of sports talk bliss. Don't miss a minute of this. Sports Talk, the place to be.
All right, we're back. Sports Talk on a Monday, manic Monday. 888-898-2525 is our phone number. Poll question of the week presented by Larry Lucas Insurance here in Columbia. How good is Larry Lucas Insurance? About a month ago, they called me to review my insurance policies to make sure everything was up to date and proper. You don't want to be overpaying. That's the thing. They want to make sure you're paying the proper amount. Checked it out, got it all squared away, all good. Got another call from them today, just checking in to make sure everything was still good and straight. You can get the same kind of service by calling Larry Lucas Insurance. 803-799-1998 is the number. The poll question of the week, how does your bracket look after the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament? Is it A, I lead my contest, B, I'm in the hunt in my contest, C, at least I still have the champion picked, and D, I burned it. I burned it. So far, from the responses, 66.7% say they burned their bracket.
I don't see how that's possible.
They just give up. They were so bad the first 2 rounds, they just said the heck with it.
Again, I don't see how that's possible. This is one of the least upsetty, if you will,
true
men's basketball tournaments we've seen in a long time. When BYU out of the Big 12 is your Cinderella in the Sweet 16, it's and Stephen A. Smith talked about this earlier today. I think he's spot on. This is going down a dangerous path for college basketball. It's just going to be like the college football playoffs, where all the big boys are in the tournament and in the end, and there are going to be very little opportunities for mid-majors ever to make another run. I mean, one of the things that made the tournament great were the VCUs and the George Masons and the Butlers and those type games. Phil, I'm not sure we're going to see those anymore.
Well, let me counter that a little bit, and let me also say here, 16.7% said they're in the hunt in their contest still. You can vote on our X page, which is at SC Sports Now, at SC Sports Now, or the website, sportstalksc.com, or also on our Facebook page, Sports Talk Media Network. Just to counter that, and I hear what you're saying, and this is the first time in history, right? In history since the expanded bracket, that it's all comprised of major conference teams at this stage, going to the Sweet 16. But if they act quickly enough, the basketball-centric schools that don't have football to deal with, to have to pay the football side of the money, they can take almost all their money and apply that to basketball, like a St. John's, like a Butler. If Butler wants to spend a ton of money on basketball, it can do so. So my point is, this year you're right, but in the future you might see some of these mid-majors, as you call them, but really Butler's not a mid-major. Gonzaga's not a mid-major. They're major basketball programs. They're just in mid-major settings, I guess you would say, in their leagues. They're surrounded by mid-majors, but they're major programs. They can spin on basketball if they want. And in the case of St. John's, as we all know, and everybody's giving Rick Pitino, all this credit, and deservedly so. He coached them, but without the sugar daddy putting the money up and them going out and buying the players, he'd be nothing. I mean, he'd just be another coach trying to develop other players, and he might be 500 in the league. But because he has that, how many people have that? Louisville, they say, is going to spend about $10 million, $8 to $10 million in the portal alone this go-round to find players. So, I mean, the spending is it's out of control right now. Now, there will be some guardrails put in place here as of July 1. We're just going to have to see how it works after that. How are you going to do these deals? You're going to have to go through the clearinghouse if it's $600 or more in NIL deals, and they're going to judge whether you're worthy of that kind of money, your market value. Now, what if somebody sues? What if somebody takes that to court and gets an injunction and says you can't limit how much I can make based on your opinion?
Who's going to determine? How are they going to determine Phil Kornblut, who's a point guard at Boston University, and scoring 35 points and dishing out 10 assists?
Yes.
versus somebody who's a point guard at Alabama and scores 15 points a game and gives out about 6 assists. Who's the better player?
You're right. And who's in the clearinghouse? I mean, who makes up a clearinghouse? Who's in there? Who's making that decision? So I wonder about that, how that's going to work. But that's what the plan is. That's what the plan is. So. And how's that going to work in recruiting now? You're not going to be able to go to 610 Slim Jim and say, okay, man, we got a $850,000 deal waiting for you. But after July 1st, that has to be approved by a clearinghouse. Are they going to see the same thing? So all this is to be learned as it's happening, because like everything else, as this has evolved, we've had to kind of learn it on the run. I'm still trying to figure it out. It's distasteful. I know that much. It's distasteful. And it's not a lot of fun, to be honest with you, because it is professional sports totally now. The only difference is in the legacy sports leagues, they have contracts that at least tie a guy to a team. And you can have outs in those contracts. Like I was looking at Juan Soto's deal. He's going to average $51 million a year for the next 15 years. $51 million a year. And it's all guaranteed. It's all guaranteed at $765 million. It's all guaranteed. But in the year 29 and 30, there's a clause in there that he gets an additional $4 million. I think I'd have to go back and relook at the wording. Like if he stays in, if he opts in to stay with the Mets, he gets another $4 million thrown into the pot or something like that. But at least they have contracts that spell it out, and it's public. There's no transparency here either. And you've got more agents coming out of the woodwork now. Every time I look at a tweet from one of the internet basketball folks who are citing guys entering the portal, John, it's all coming from somebody's agent. According to his agent. So it's all these kids got agents. Where did all these agents come from all of a sudden? Everybody's got an agent. You got an agent? I don't have an agent.
No.
Plumber, you got an agent? Who's your agent? Who you got as an agent?
State Farm.
Nicely done.
Hey, Jake from State Farm.
Nicely done. No, Larry from State Farm. That's his agent. Anyway, everybody's got an agent now. And, these agents, they're looking to make a killing as well. So they're playing one against another. They're trying to build up these guys list these lists that we report. Well, who's giving them these lists? Well, it's the agents. Well, how do we know these lists are accurate? That all these schools have contacted for their guy. I mean, maybe they're being truthful, or maybe they're just trying to blow it up to enhance the value of their guy. I tell you, it's a messy, messy deal out there. Messy, messy deal. All right, back to the phone calls, 888-898-2525. Let's go to Keith in Camden with us next. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
Hey, Phil, Chris, how y'all doing?
Great. Good to have you.
Good. 3 brief comments, and then you just pick which one you want to talk about. Talking about the men's basketball, I mean, I know people either are competitive or they're not, but my goodness, nobody wants to play on a losing team. So it's interesting to see who's leaving, who's not. Secondly, whoever's going to win it outside of Duke better go ahead and win it, because you got the 2 twins coming into Duke next year from, I don't know if they're from California or Hawaii, but they say they're the next 2 LeBron James. And 3, what in the world, our baseball program, Lord help us. And 4, if we don't get a low post presence down low, Chris, you're right. We played good defense yesterday in the second half, but my goodness, I don't know. But I can't question Don Staley, so maybe we can pull it out. But what I saw yesterday is not going to cut it. Y'all have a great evening. Love the show, as always.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's go to Ray in Elgin, Camden and Elgin. Hot in the Kershaw County area tonight. Welcome in, Ray. Good to have you.
Hey, guys. Thanks, Phil. Yeah, I'm kind of falling from that last call. Gamecock fan here. And, golly, thank God for Don Staley and our Gamecock basketball program there. Wow, I tell you. But, yeah, talking about our men's basketball program and of course, our baseball program, not a whole lot you can say right now. But I'll tell you, I keep hearing in the SEC field, I know it's true, boy, everybody's just getting better. But it seems like everybody's getting better but the Gamecocks, And that's just tough. That's hard to swallow. And I never thought our baseball team, it's not that they're not getting better, they're aggressive. And I go back, and this may be blasphemy to a lot of Gamecock fans, what I'm about to say, but, there's been a lot of people that got in the front office or became an AD or even an owner. They just excelled at whether they were a player or a coach, but it didn't always transition well. And who would have thought our baseball program would have taken such a hit with Ray Tanner as our AD? Now, I didn't expect them to stay up there national champions, but, man, I mean, this has been more than a drop, dude. This has been, catastrophic. But anyway, thanks for letting me talk, guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the phone call. 888-898-2525. We go to Sam in Charleston. Hello, Sam. Welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
My bracket has been burned.
And your coach is leaving.
Is it UNC or the Cougs?
This would be, that's right, because you like the Tar Heels. This would be Coach Mack. The Mack ain't back, apparently, according to reports. He may be very interested in going back to Xavier. How do you feel about that, Sam?
Well, actually, I am very disappointed right now. But may I tell you what happened? If it's okay with you, I got some breaking news.
Breaking news. Do we have our breaking news sounder ready? Go ahead, Sam. What you got?
So let's just say that is our home team transferring places?
Well, if Mack leaves, you can expect departures. I think they've had a couple hit the portal, John, to this point. When a coach leaves, that just opens the door wide open. Players, they just take off.
Is Well, the thing I want to tell you, what's been happening, is this transfer portal needs to stop. It hurts my team, hurts my players. Well, let me take it back. Not my players, but the coaches' players at CFC are transferring their schools. I mean, you guys have been talking about that every day. But here's my second question to ask you about the thing about for next year. Do you think that the College of Charleston will have a block party for the first time in a couple of years? That's my question.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Sam. We'll have to ask the new coach and ask the new coach if he believes in block parties. Most basketball coaches, they believe in block parties around the rim. They want their bigs to be in there having a block party. But who will be the new coach at the you know what? Here's my suggestion.
Well, and to be fair,
here's
Andrew Miller's report is he's a leading candidate. He has not accepted
I know.
the job.
I'm kind of playing here. But if he leaves, you know who I would hire? Greg Marshall. I said it.
Wow.
I said it. You know, he lives in Surfside Litchfield or Pawleys, somewhere down there. He's got a place. Actually, I think he still lives in Wichita, but he has a house at the beach.
Might be his only way to get back into basketball.
Why not Greg?
He's not getting a high major job, at least without going back through purgatory, if you will. Not pardon the pun, but I mean, you saw what Bruce Pearl had to do to get back to where he was and wanted to be.
Yeah.
And Greg Marshall is accused of doing some stuff that may actually be worse than what, believe it or not, that Bruce Pearl did.
Yeah. Well, maybe he'll never get back, but he's
may
there.
not.
And maybe he's out too long now. Maybe, I mean, he's been gone. I mean, it's not like he's done television or anything. He's just, and maybe he wouldn't want to come back. Maybe he's done with it, you know? I'm just saying. And maybe Cougar fans in the college would like, no way we're touching him after he burned them. You know, he Bobby Crimmins them. And, you know, that's, and all the other stuff. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just kind of having a little fun.
And they
There's
should
no
not have
opening
a hard time
there yet.
replacing.
No.
Yeah.
There's no opening there yet, so I don't like to speculate, but I'm just throwing that name out there.
It would be interesting if they went that route, but like I said, I don't think they'll have a hard time finding anybody they want. That's a really good mid-major job in a great city and at a school that's got a lot of basketball tradition. They should not have a problem filling that void if it opens.
No question. All right, run to the break, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. Starting pitchers, Clemson and Coastal Carolina, and Clemson and Presbyterian on Tuesday. Luke Jones for Coastal against Noah Samole. Wednesday, left-hander Luke Gibson for Presbyterian against left-hander Talon Bell. We'll have Coach Bakich with us at 7:05, and USC, as I mentioned, is going to start Brendan Sweeney tomorrow against North Carolina. Be right back.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Whether it's becoming a teacher, dentist, or engineer, every child deserves the chance to chase their dreams. Investing in a child's education with Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, can help turn those big dreams into next steps. So don't wait. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Imagine a scrapbook filled with all your favorite memories of 75 years at Darlington Raceway. Now imagine that scrapbook going 190 miles per hour.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
You don't have to imagine it. You need to get to Darlington, where the drivers of today tackle the track too tough to tame, just like they did your first time. NASCAR Throwback Weekend at Darlington Raceway, April 5th and 6th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller Brown. Did you know your will is designed for your assets to pass through the probate court? If you want to keep your loved ones out of court, a revocable trust is a great place to start. Visit lawyerlisa.com for more information and to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience What's the difference with Lawyer Lisa?
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
You've waited for it. You've demanded it. Now you get it. It is the recruiting report on this Monday night on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawell's. Daily Luncheon Buffet commences this week tomorrow at Seawell's. We recommend it highly. For only $14, you will come away stuffed, and ready to take a nap. I suggest that you get all your work done before going and eating the buffet, because after you eat it, you're going to want to go home and take a nap and not go back to work. So the workload goes down considerably after you eat. At least it does for me. It goes down considerably after you eat the buffet. And for that special event coming up this spring, which we're now in, or maybe summer or fall, let Seawell's handle all your catering needs. Their website is SeawellsCateringSC.com. Their phone number is 803-771-7385. Lots to get to. So, basketball transfer portal John window open today. Veteran forward Chauncey Wiggins of Clemson. Freshman guard Dell Jones of Clemson. Veteran big man Nick Pringle of South Carolina. All going in according to a variety of reports today. On to football. Running back offered by Clemson. Javion Mallory of Boca Raton, Florida, committed to Miami on Sunday. Tigers then made a move on Jay Lamar, 6'2", 205, Moultrie, Georgia. He was in for a visit Sunday. He was offered by the Tigers. He's had Clemson in his top lists with Georgia, Ohio State, Miami, Auburn, Florida State, Florida, Alabama, North Carolina, and Tennessee. He was at Ohio State Thursday and Florida State on Saturday. He's got officials with Auburn, Georgia, Miami, and Florida State, and a commitment date of July 4th. Also Sunday, Clemson offered cornerback Kerry Adams of Towson, Maryland. He was in for a visit. He was at USC on Friday. He's been working with a top 10 of South Carolina, Oregon, LSU, Notre Dame, Southern Cal, Maryland, Syracuse, Penn State, Auburn, and Michigan. Christ Church receiver Jude Hall was at Clemson on Sunday. And he, of course, decommitted from Duke. Furman and Cincinnati have also offered him. Had a nice year last year. 57 catches, 795 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Offensive tackle Leo Delaney of Charlotte was to be at Clemson Sunday. South Carolina and Clemson target receiver Ryan Mosley was at Alabama yesterday. He was at USC Friday and Clemson March 8th. He's also been to Georgia this spring and has other trips coming up to Texas A&M, Florida, Florida State, Tennessee, and Penn State. South Carolina commitment cornerback Peyton Dyer plans to visit Ohio State today for spring practice. He was at Georgia this month as well. Running back JaMychal Jones of Montgomery, Alabama, had a South Carolina offer but never visited, committed to Ole Miss. South Carolina target defensive end Rodney Dunham of Charlotte was at Notre Dame over the weekend. USC and Clemson target offensive tackle Darius Gray was at LSU Saturday. Clemson target cornerback Aiden Pouncey was at Notre Dame on Sunday. Clemson target offensive tackle Ikene Oboko. He visited LSU over the weekend for 2 days. Linebacker Sincere Johnson of Cleveland, who has a Clemson offer, is going to Ohio State Tuesday, Florida this weekend, and Alabama on April 12th. Clemson target defensive tackle Bryce Perry Wright plans to visit Texas A&M on Saturday coming. Clemson target defensive end Dre Quinn was at Alabama over the weekend. Another Clemson target, cornerback Danny Odom, Farrell, Pennsylvania. Ohio State tomorrow, Vanderbilt on Saturday. He was at Clemson for the Elite Retreat. Clemson target, safety Tylen Wilson at Ole Miss over the weekend. Clemson target, defensive tackle Elijah Golden. He went to Alabama over the weekend. Clemson target, offensive tackle Zayden Crimpin. He was at Ohio State on Sunday. He's also been to Clemson, LSU, and Michigan. Clemson target 2027, Caden Henderson, was at Florida State Saturday. He also picked up recent offers from Auburn, LSU, and Notre Dame. He plans to be at Clemson this week for a visit. North Augusta offensive tackle Malcolm Gaston was at Virginia Tech Saturday. He's also been to Florida and Georgia this month. 2027 athlete Tajay Watson of Belton Honeypath was offered by Duke. It's 5'11", 160. South Carolina is among the schools, this is basketball, reportedly having interest in 6'5", Long Beach State transfer 6'5", Devin Askew. College of Charleston reserve forward Elijah Jones is transferring. Outfielder Logan Struck of P27 Academy, which is in Lexington, he decommitted from Clemson on Sunday. And there are a couple of other basketball guys to tell you about here very quickly. If I can get to them before the break, we will do that. And that would include South Carolina reportedly expressing interest in North Dakota transfer 6'6" Trayson Eaglestaff. And South Carolina and Clemson reportedly interested in 6'10" Valpo forward Cooper Schweiger. And that'll do it for recruiting. We'll be back, top of the hour break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Trump national security officials mistakenly texted war plans to a magazine editor. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The editor-in-chief for The Atlantic reports that he received war plans for military strikes in Yemen 2 hours before the March 15th attack. Jeffrey Goldberg was included in a group chat in a secure messaging app. The National Security Council said the text chain appears to be authentic and was looking into how a journalist's number was added to the chain in the Signal group chat. President Trump, when asked, said he was unaware of the incident. Greg Clugston, Washington.
3 wildfires are causing problems in western North Carolina, an area already hard hit by Hurricane Helene.
In North Carolina, the Black Cove Complex fires, which are 3 wildfires in Polk County engulfing more than 4,000 acres, continue burning with mandatory evacuations underway. The area still recovering from Hurricane Helene. Bo Dossett is with North Carolina Forest Service.
A lot of our forests are basically have a very high percentage of blowdown and kind of thick, downed and dead timber.
In neighboring North Carolina, the Table Rock fire was growing over the weekend, along with the nearby Persimmon Ridge fire, both consuming more than 2,000 acres. I'm Julie Walker.
Austin, Texas police are investigating several incendiary devices found at a Tesla dealership on the city's north side. Monday's incident is the latest in a series targeting the company owned by billionaire Elon Musk. Austin police say officers responding to a report of hazardous materials found the devices and called in the city's bomb squad. On Wall Street, the Dow by 598 points. More at townhall.com.
Face it, the world is uncertain these days, but there's something reassuring about holding onto what lasts. The 2025 1-ounce Gold Eagle from the U.S. Mint, a symbol of American strength and an asset that stands the test of time. You can trust gold and you can trust Global Coin. Call 833-SPOT-GOLD to secure this magnificent coin graded in pristine MS-70 condition for the dealer cost of $30.99. Free shipping, no sales tax. This is your chance to own a piece of history while building a foundation of enduring value. value. It gets even better. Global Coin is giving the first 100 callers a free MS70 2025 Silver Eagle to complement your 1-ounce Gold Eagle. 2 iconic coins, a symbol of prosperity and a testament to the enduring value of gold and silver. Global Coin backs every purchase with a 30-day return policy, ensuring your peace of mind. Visit globalcoindeal.com or call 833-SPOT-GOLD. No gimmicks, incredible coins at incredible prices. Again, that's 833-SPOT-GOLD.
The blame game has begun between Heathrow Airport and the UK's electricity network over Friday's shutdown of Europe's busiest air hub.
Heathrow Airport's bosses defended their decision to shut down following claims that there was enough power to operate after a substation caught fire. Britain's energy system operator suggested that Heathrow had enough electricity from other sources when Europe's busiest air hub shut down for most of Friday. The airport said it had to ground flights due to the time it took to switch from the damaged substation to 2 alternative power supplies. British Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander spoke in Parliament.
This was an unprecedented event, and we must learn.
More than 1,300 flights were cancelled and at least 200,000 passengers had their journeys disrupted. Nayan Kim, London.
News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear with a low temperature dipping to 46 this evening. Tomorrow looking great. Mostly sunshine-filled skies, the high up to 78. We'll keep this pattern the rest of the work week with mostly sunny skies and a high temperature in the mid-70s. No rain after today until maybe on Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, great to have you with us here on this manic Monday in the heart of the basketball tournaments, but baseball is still very much in the forefront as far as we are concerned. Keeping an eye on things happening on the baseball front. Coach Jim Toman will be with us at the bottom of the hour for another edition of Just a Bit Outside. Right now, though, we welcome into the program Clemson baseball coach Eric Bakich. Tigers coming off an exciting series win over a very good Wake Forest team, pulling out the third game yesterday after falling behind 6-0. Coming back and winning 7-6, so the Tigers are hanging right in there at the top of the ACC. All the teams at the top of the league right now have 2 losses: Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Florida State, Clemson, and NC State. So it's anybody's race right now in the ACC. And Eric, welcome to Sports Talk. How many years did you age in that game yesterday?
Hey, Phil. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it as always. Yeah, that was a nail-biter, back-to-back days of we got down by a wide margin and then had to battle back, came up short on Saturday. But, yeah, yesterday was awesome. That's what makes college baseball fun right there, the emotions and the excitement and the energy, all of it. It was incredible.
One thing about your teams, you have a propensity for coming back and making it close when you fall behind big or winning. I think you win it more often than not. I think you did it a lot last year, and you're doing it this year, which is great. But as a coach, are you a little bit concerned about the reasons you're falling behind, putting you in a position where you have to come back?
No, because you're going to fall behind because everybody's good. So, the parity in college baseball is really good. Everybody's got awesome players. Everybody's got guys that throw mid-90s. Everyone's got star power, and it's baseball, and things happen. And I would be more concerned is that every time we got down from a deficit, the mentality was, well, we'll get them tomorrow. And I think you see that a lot with this age group, but our guys are totally different. They just think we got them right where we want them and we're going to come back and do this. And the belief system is real and the ability to do it has been shown and evidenced enough now to where they're able to do it. And they truly believe they're going to do it because they've done it before. So it's one of those things where I think it's a little bit of a superpower for us, just knowing that we're never out of the fight.
Yeah. So your pitching situation, your weekend rotation right now, how are you feeling about the three you've been trotting out there? Obviously, number one is just fine, no worries there. But what about 2 and 3 after the last couple of weekends?
Yeah, Aiden Knox, one of the best pitchers in the country. Ethan Darden was ACC Pitcher of the Week after the South Carolina series and has been really good for us this year, minus this past Saturday. And we've hit a speed bump and haven't found that consistency with Justin Legurnick as the Sunday starter. And so we went TBA this last week, and it just so happened that Justin Legurnick was the guy that we chose for Sunday. But it's time. It's been 6 weeks now, and we've kind of seen what the results have been, and so it's time to give somebody else a shot there. But I don't think we're going to name a Sunday starter, and just because the guys that we've been using to win on Friday and Saturday, we're still going to use those guys on Friday and Saturday, and then we'll see who's available on Sunday. So I would guess, at least for this week, our rotation will be Canuck, Darden, and TBA.
How is Legurnick kind of holding up as he's gone through these tough outings here of late?
Well, he's very disappointed, as any competitive male would be, that's been a superstar his whole life and a big draft prospect and a guy that turned down a significant amount of money to come to school. And it's not that he's lacking ability. He's got nasty stuff. I mean, he's got some of the best metrics of what the movement on his pitches, what he can do with a baseball from a kind of that low 3/4 slinging left-handed slot with a 6'5" frame. I mean, he's got all kinds of potential. It's just more harnessing it into a way that produces success for him personally and for us as a team. So it's in there. I mean, nobody's given up on him. He's still got nasty stuff. It's just finding a way to help him be successful in putting him in the right spots.
And it looks like Canarella has found his stroke. He's gotten his average up well over 300, 326. But I tell you who's impressed me from the very first game and has just been steady, and that's Purify, batting .358, 3 homers, 21 RBIs. I mean, how good has he been for you both at the plate and in the field?
Yeah, his superpower is the magnetic energy. He's got a gravitational pull where he is in the middle of everything that seems to be happening on the field, and he was voted as team captain for just the work ethic and just the character traits and the kid that he is off the field and the teammate that he is. So he's a very unique one. He's the type of kid that has got a chance to play baseball for a long time, but then probably going to be a CEO of a very successful company after that.
Eric Backich, head baseball coach at Clemson, joining us tonight. They will take on the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers tomorrow before hitting the road for their first ACC Road Series this weekend at Georgia Tech. And, Coach, sticking with your offense for a moment, they had you mic'd up a little bit during the ACC network telecast over the weekend. You were talking about Dominic Listy and how much he'll do anything possible to get on first base, and he did it again yesterday, scored 3 runs for you in that ball, or actually got 3 hits and drove in 3. What has he meant to your team at the top of the order, and are you sitting here 23-3 and 4-2 in the league without him?
Definitely not where we are without him. He has been the ultimate spark plug and catalyst and positive energy giver, all the things that just go into what makes a great leadoff hitter and a great run scorer, and just the obsession that he has with getting to first base is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like it. But then the person that he is, like, he's a deep thinker. He's a genuine, he has a lot of one of those kids that kind of has gone through some inward journey in his life to kind of figure out who he is and who he wants to be, and he shares that, and he's very passionate about it. And so, I made the analogy. It's like, if Gary Vee, Andrew Huberman, Jocko Willink, and David Goggins had a kid, Don Listy's what comes out, and he's got all those characteristics. It's that warrior work ethic, but it's that scientist yet philosopher yet motivational guy all wrapped into one. I mean, he's incredible. He's just he's a total outlier of a human being, and he's an awesome baseball player, but he brings a whole lot more to the table. I mean, every time he speaks publicly, I get texts from multiple entrepreneurs and business people that want his contact information because they want to hire him.
Wow. So clearly you can't see all of that stuff when you're watching highlight tapes of him at North Central and at Indiana State. So what was the recruiting process about him? And as soon as you picked up the phone and started chatting with him, was he an immediate take for you? Did you realize he's a guy you had to have?
It was instant. Yeah, it was one phone call. I mean, literally one phone call. And, I ask all the recruits, a series of questions and, mostly stemming about, the value that they're going to bring to our program and our culture and, why we should offer them. And his answer is like, I wanted to literally reach through the phone and hug him, like just the way he talked about, this relentless desire to just reach first base. And now for him, it was a win just to get to first base. And that's what he wanted to do. That's what he brings to a team. He's going to get on base. I mean, he embodies and epitomizes like that run scoring, run producing team player, throwback, play hard, play every day. Was just one of those guys. And, it's for everyone that loves sport and loves competitive athletes and just kind of gets nostalgic about some of those throwback players where they're just hard-nosed and gritty and played hard and nails and dirty uniforms and just blood and sweat and tears. Like, that's him. He's one of those throwbacks. He's one of those 1970s players, and it is fun to watch.
I can tell you really like him. Eric Bakich, head baseball coach at Clemson, with us. And Phil was asking you earlier about your starting rotation on the weekend. I wanted to get your impressions on what you saw from guys like B.J. Bailey and Hudson Lee and the rest of your bullpen yesterday in sort of high-leverage situations. They never allow Wake Forest to separate from your team. How important were those guys yesterday? And maybe do you start looking at them for maybe more major roles as opposed to just middle or tail end of the relief with regards to Lucas Malstead?
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, one of those guys is going to have to be a starter on the weekends, and then the other guys are going to continue to evolve in those high-leverage roles. I mean, we knew going into the season that we were going to have Lucas Malstead and Reed Garris as proven seniors, guys who have been in the fire, pitched in super regionals and championship games, and been in all kinds of dramatic type of games and finishes in conference play and in the postseason. But to have guys like B.J. Bailey and Joe Allen and Nathan Dvorsky and Jacob McGovern and you mentioned Hudson Lee, who had a great day yesterday. But to have these guys step up, Drew Titsworth, I mean, to have them step up and be able to pitch in these roles as well, we can start thinking about a game and shrinking the game and start working back to front with so many guys that can occupy those types of innings and those types of roles, especially knowing that we can also extend Lucas Malstead and Reed Garris if we have to, and if they need to, make a 2 or 3 inning save, they can do it. But it just creates a whole lot of value for our bullpen once we can start to shrink the game. And even if you never want your starter to go out early, but it happened to us twice over the weekend, and we tried to absorb it on Saturday and did a pretty darn good job of absorbing it, because once those guys came out and the damage was done, in Wake Forest had scored 10 runs after 3 innings on Saturday. In innings 4 through 9, they only scored 2 more runs. And then yesterday, they did their damage in the first and second inning, and then all those relievers, to your point, in the next 7 innings gave up no runs. So having those guys that can come in there and we get stronger as the game goes, that's very valuable.
So the end of a 16-game homestand is coming up. That's a lot of time at home. I imagine you got a lot of honey-do stuff checked off the list. Do you kind of reach a point after 16 games in a row at home that you kind of like want to get on the road to kind of like get away a little bit so you don't have to cut the grass and do the hedges and whatever it is you do around the house? I mean, aren't you just ready to get on the road and go somewhere?
No, I mean, I don't really think of it like that, but that's funny. I'm sure my wife is ready for me to get on the road. I think she's excited that we've got a road trip coming up. I think all wives out there would probably resonate with that. But no, I mean, I love playing at home. I love our fans. I love, the energy that this place brings. And so I was thinking of it more from a baseball standpoint, but love being at home and love playing here. But yeah, I'm sure Jiffy was like, ready for us to go on the road for a couple of weeks for sure. Well,
I mean, you're going to Georgia Tech this weekend. Then you're going to California. I know you have a midweek, but you're going out to California too. So you got some traveling ahead of you.
We do. Yeah, we'll be. But that's also, we got some of that experience early. Playing in Texas and playing at the Globe Life Field in the Shriners Children's Classic. That was an awesome experience. So, and that was one of the main reasons why we did it as well. Besides the great competition and the big league stadium and the children's hospital event connected to it, but it was also experience traveling with the team on the road, playing good competition, which simulates what conference play is going to be like for 5 weekends.
Yeah, and you got a big one tomorrow, not to take anything away from PC on Wednesday, but Coastal Carolina, nationally ranked team, and always a big game when you guys get together with the Chanticleers, so I'm sure that they're going to come at you with everything that they can throw at you in a midweek game and vice versa.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's there's so much good baseball in the Carolinas. It's unbelievable how many good teams are in the Carolinas. And Coastal Carolina is no exception, and they've been awesome for a long time, and they've achieved the pinnacle of the sport when Coach Gilmore won it in 2016. And so yeah, they've been a program that you can never take them lightly because they can always hit. They've got good pitching this year, good defense. They seem to do everything well. So there's one of those teams that, at least on paper, looking at the stats, which I'm looking at right now, there doesn't seem to be any holes.
Well, we thank you for the time. Good luck, your upcoming games. Talk to you again soon, and we always appreciate it when you join us.
Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, Coach Eric Bakich. Yeah, I saw a Google map up close of his lawn. It's perfect. His lawn is
looks
manicured.
Like Augusta, right?
Hedges have all been cut like 4 times. House has been washed down. I mean, he's probably done every chore you can do. I mean, that's a long
They've got a
homestand.
schedule they've got a schedule like Duke men's basketball. They never play away from home.
That's right.
They had a neutral site. Their only true road game this year was to South Carolina.
Except for the true road game. That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they did have those neutral site games, as he mentioned, in Texas. Okay, we'll be right back. Mike Shula.
Some credit cards hit you with sky-high rates, annual fees, and surprise costs, but not here. Founders Federal Credit Union is proud to offer credit cards with rates below the national average, giving you more control over your finances. Our Essential MasterCard rates are as low as 13.25% APR. Our rewards cards start at just 15.25% APR. So you can earn while you spend. And the best part, there are no annual fees and no balance transfer fees, just straightforward savings, designed to keep more of your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your hands. So whether you're looking to consolidate debt, build credit, or just want a smarter way to spend, we've got the right card for you. Visit foundersfcu.com/cc to learn more or apply for a new credit card today. Relax, you're with Founders Federal Credit Union. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
All
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Catch up on some South Carolina football for you here on Sports Talk as spring practice for them starts to heat up, and our coverage of spring football here in the States, covering South Carolina and Clemson, is brought to you by Lawyer Lisa. Visit lawyerlisa.com to find out how Lawyer Lisa I'm sorry, I can't say the word lawyer and her team can help you plan for your family's future. Please don't hold it against Miss Lisa, because she's an excellent lawyer. I just can't say the word.
Attorney. How about try that?
Yeah,
she's an excellent attorney.
Yeah, but that's not her title. Is Lawyer Lisa. That's what she goes by. I just can't say the word lawyer. It's just one of those. It's a mental block. Anyway, here is Mike Shula, South Carolina's first-year offensive coordinator, met with the media today. Opening statement from him, and then questions.
Number one, the energy's been great. We've had a lot of guys that, the whole mix, the guys that have been here, the guys that have come in from other schools, and then the freshmen. I think there's a really good urgency for guys to do their job right, to finish on every play. You know, I think it's, and one of the main reasons, I think we've got the right guys here, the mentality, guys that look, that, again, it's 2 practices, self-starters, and then competition. There's a lot of competition throughout, and I think that kind of brings out the best in everybody. So I still got a long way to go, but the first 2 days, I think that's been the first thing that stood out.
A lot of freshman pass catchers coming in this year. What have you seen from your freshman receivers so far?
Yeah, same thing. Energy. I think these guys are, they understand that they have, potential opportunity to play early, but they also, for young guys, at least early, they understand that it's going to take a lot of work. They're very conscientious. They study hard. They're asking questions. I think the learning curve, there's going to be a learning curve, especially when you get into the SEC. So it's just a matter of who can not just the mental part of it, but learn the fastest and understand how defensive backs are going to play you and have to get off the line of scrimmage in bump and run situations. So, but they can run. They have good quickness. They've shown that, and the ability to catch the ball, and all that stuff will hopefully continue to on the what we've seen the first couple days.
Got a few changes on the offensive line, lost a center most notably. What have you seen from that group and just some of the combinations through a couple practices?
Yeah, I think again, the guys that we brought in, Boaz and RJ, I think are guys that are very conscientious. I think they same thing. They're working hard to put their best foot forward in just in all aspects of their game. That center, obviously, other than the quarterback, he's touching the ball every play, and he's got to be the quarterback, so to speak, of the guys up front. So the communication's got to be at a premium, and I think both guys do a really good job with that. I think that everybody is. It's crazy the amount of at least from my recollection, the amount of new guys that you have compared to last year. And I remember the guys, when I got here last year, the coach saying the same thing. There's a lot of new guys, so you have to be really good at communicating so everyone's on the same page as quick, get everybody on the same page as quick as you can. And I think both those guys have done that. And we got other guys in the fold as well, too. So
with Lenoris, what are some of the things you're hoping that he's able to get accomplished this spring? Is there sort of a checklist of things, or is it just kind of business as usual with him?
Well, I think number one, our goal is to pick up where we left off at the end of the year, not at the start of the year, and just we looked at some things in the off season that mentally and physically, kind of looking at defenses and getting your eyes in the right place a little bit quicker and making sound decisions quicker and things like that. And then also now, because of the newness of the young receivers and the guys up front, whether or not they're rising freshmen or underclassmen, or the guys coming from the portal, there's just getting a feel for how everybody communicates, reacts, plays. And in the meantime, I do think that he has done a good job. And yet he still has a lot to learn too. Just every position, but especially quarterback. There's so many different situations and outcomes and different looks that you can't practice them all. You try to present them all to them in the meetings and things like that, but they still come up different out there in practice. So you can't get enough of that.
All right, some of the comments from Mike Shula. All of it's on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. And, of course, everything we do is put in podcast form. You can find it where we house our podcasts, which would be on SoundCloud. A lot of you go to SoundCloud. Spotify is another place to go. Those are probably the two most popular places to go, I would say. I would suggest those two to get our podcasts. Our podcast stuff, our stuff in podcast form is really, really neat and easy to access. So Mike Shula seems pretty sharp, a little bit more understated than his predecessor, who was kind of like all energy and stuff when he got in front of the media.
Yeah, and it's funny, as soon as he started talking, you made the comment, gosh, he sounds like Eric Backett.
Yeah.
Are we rerunning his interview?
Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah.
If you listen closely, they're voice twins.
Yes, I had to look at Plummer and say, why are you running Eric Backett back so quickly? Okay, Jim Toman coming up after a little Dawn Staley. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear with a low temperature dipping to 46 this evening. Tomorrow looking great. Mostly sunshine-filled skies, the high up to 78. We'll keep this pattern the rest of the work week with mostly sunny skies and a high temperature in the mid-70s. No rain after today until maybe on Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Are you ready to have a boatload of fun this spring? Sail on down to your local Palmetto State Armory store and deck yourself out in our new lifestyle t-shirts, hats, and fishing shirts. Seize the day with brands like Hey Dudes, Costa, Turtle Box, Local Boy, and more. Our selection of rifles, pistols, and shotguns is sure to impress. So don't be left fishing for something to wear once the warmer weather has arrived. Check out one of our 9 retail locations or PalmettoStateArmory.com to outfit your next adventure.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A panel of appeals court judges appeared divided Monday on a Trump administration push to lift an order blocking deportation of Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador under an 18th century wartime law. Circuit Court Judge Patricia Millett said Nazis detained in the U.S. during World War II received better legal treatment than Venezuelan immigrants who were deported to El Salvador this month under the same statute. Judge Justin Walker appeared open to the administration's argument that the migrants should be challenging their detention in Texas rather than the nation's capital. Top national security officials for President Trump, including his defense secretary, texted war plans for upcoming military strikes in Yemen to a group chat in a secure messaging app that included the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. This is SRN News.
Step into a brighter future with Broker Solar. Transform your home, your business, your nonprofit into a beacon of efficiency and savings. With Broker Solar, you're not just installing solar panels, you're setting the foundation for long-term financial savings, taking control over these power companies that, well, let's face it, they have a monopoly. You can't choose your power company, but you can control the cost of your power. Ken and his expert team will help you to navigate through any complexities of solar energy. They'll tailor a system that's perfectly fit for your needs and for your budget. Get a rooftop setup or somewhere else on your land, or just start with solar to integrate powerful battery backups so when the storms do come, the power goes out in your block, it'll stay on at your home. It's not for everyone, but if you're even curious, don't you owe it to yourself to reach out and call Broker Solar for a free consultation? Listen, if you trust the point, if you trust me, I'm telling you, you can trust Broker Solar. Explore your solar potential at brokersolar.com. Start generating power on your terms. Broker Solar, empowering you while shining above the rest.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee-Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
This is Fran Halloran, the Money Coach. Grow with the point as we build on 10 incredible years of community local radio. We've built an environment where our listeners are our family. Are you a small business with big dreams? Join the tremendous stable of advertising partners at The Point. Connect with Kevin Cohen and brainstorm a tailored strategy to escalate your business growth using the powerful platform of The Point. Call Kev directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, you can make the next year your best year.
When your pipes panic, Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning steps right in, fast and friendly. Josh and his team aren't just fixing leaks, they're restoring your peace of mind. This is when you're at your most vulnerable. You got a problem, you need a solution. They're not coming out to upsell you or talk you into something new this or new that. You'll appreciate their process. They'll tell you what needs to get done and what it'll cost before they ever even bring in their tools to start the work. They're locally owned, which unfortunately is no longer the norm in the Midlands. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning will treat every home like their own. They've done work for me, for my brother, countless numbers of Point listeners. Dial 799-2222 or visit franklinplumbing.sc.com and you tell them Kev from The Point sent you. You will experience plumbing that's more than just a fix. It's a solution from people who care about their work and stand by it. When you need them, please don't panic. Just call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, 799-2222.
All right, Maryland and Alabama, they're in a second overtime, 99-96. The Terps are up on the Crimson Tide, 99-96. LSU hammering Florida State. SC, sure.
That was a one-point game at halftime.
81-55. 96-62, Oklahoma beat Iowa. I just made that up. Here is a little bit of Dawn Staley after the Gamecocks took care of business against the Bobby Knightless Indiana Hoosiers yesterday at the Colonial Life Arena.
Just want to say congratulations to Indiana for making it to the second round and giving us a hard-fought game. We knew coming in it would be very similar to the basketball that was displayed out there for the last 2 hours. Proud of our team, the way they gutted up and didn't flinch. It wasn't pretty, but at this time, it doesn't have to be. You just got to score more points than the other team and work the kinks out as we advance into the tournament.
Dawn, how did you feel about that first half, and were you sure they would find their stride in the third quarter?
Yes, I mean it's a little unnerving because it's not how you envision execution. I thought we were getting great looks, they just wouldn't fall. So for us it's if we're going to get the same type of looks, we're probably going to be in good shape because we're not going to, Chloe and Fagan aren't going to be. I think they were 0 for 10, 0 for. And then I think Joyce made one layup, and that was off of a broken play. Lay got a steal and tossed it back to her, and she made we're a very efficient post group of bigs. So sooner or later, somebody's going to get on course to do what they normally do. I think we settled in. I think our defense got a lot better in the third quarter and afforded us a lead to the point where we just held on and got the win.
Pau, her defense today, what did you think of those 4 blocks and stepping up, especially in the first half there?
Pau's defense was great. It was executed to a T. That young lady, I don't want to butcher her last name. We just call her Shay. So Shay does a really good job going left. She is unconscious going left. She is super efficient. And Powell just sat on her left hand, forced her right. She did get, I think she got 12 points, but she would have gotten a lot more if she got into the flow of going left. So I thought she did a great job. We told her that in the locker room. And I'm happy that we're helping to complete Powell because for the longest her reputation is she can just flat out shoot the ball. She's a consummate point guard, and I don't think her defense gets enough credit in the past 2 years that she's been with us because it's gotten better and better and better. And then she had performances like she did today.
All right, some comments from Dawn Staley. As I mentioned, will be in Birmingham covering the Gamecocks in Sweet 16. By the way, that was the press conference in front of all the media, but afterwards I got a chance to talk exclusively with Coach Staley, who was in a great mood, of course, and I said, Coach, you look a little hot, you look a little thirsty. What's your plans for getting rid of that thirst after this win?
It's Southern comfort. It really is Southern comfort.
Yeah, that's good. That'll wipe out any thirst. We'll ask our next guest about Southern comfort.
Can we put that to bed now?
No, I still like that.
It wasn't funny the first time. It's getting less funny the more times we play it. Josh, delete that.
By the way, missed this when we were going over transfer people. I didn't see this. Asa Thomas is transferring from Clemson, the freshman forward. Hadn't seen that until it just rolled up in front of me. So that's another one from Clemson who will be hitting the road.
Speaking of USC women's basketball, too, they've got a coach in the portal now.
Yeah.
They're going to be losing assistant coach Winston Gandy. He's going to be taking over, according to Talia Goodman of On 3. He's going to be the next head coach at Grand Canyon, but will coach with the Gamecocks through the remainder of the NCAA tournament.
The Antelopes at Grand Canyon. But, yeah, Asa Thomas, who had redshirted this year, and he is going to be another one from Clemson hitting the transfer portal. John, let's go a little deeper into the baseball world.
Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
All right, time to welcome in the big guy, Coach Jim Toman, just a bit outside, looking at the college baseball world from his inside perspective. Coach, welcome in. How are you?
Phil, I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Weather's been great up here. I'm heading over to Liberty University tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We got Liberty against UVA.
Ooh, a little midweek action. So,
yeah,
let's talk about Clemson. We had Coach Bakich on with us a little bit after 7 o'clock. I asked him, it's great that you're able to come from behind so often and win games or make it tight. And I said, but what about, are you concerned at all about the fact that you fall behind? And this happened a good bit last year, and they were good enough to rally and win a lot of those games. He doesn't seem bothered by the fact that sometimes they dig themselves a hole and have to come back. And he cited the fact that there's so many good teams, like everybody's good, and it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, and Clemson can score some runs. They got a lot of good hitters. They got a pretty they get on base a lot, and it seems like they're finding ways to win, which is good. However, I would prefer to win 8-2 and play defense and hit and pitch, and not have so many games where you have to come from behind, because eventually that'll catch up to you, and you might not win some of them late games. So the pitching needs to be shored up a little bit. Obviously, that Canuck kid is awesome on Friday, and the one guy that's been good for them late, and they've been using him in a bullpen late role, is that Malstead.
Yeah.
He's been huge for them to keep them in the games and help finish games. And Canuck is doing his share for sure. And they're, you don't want to get too picky, but they're 23-3. And they're 4-2 in the league. Their RPI is like 3 or something. But they are finding ways to win, and they're getting timely hitting, and they get enough walks where they get on base, and then they get a big hit. But what happens when you don't get that big hit, and all of a sudden you're struggling, and you're like, what happened? Well, I mean, baseball's tough, and the teams are good, so it would be nice. I think there's 3 or 4 guys with the ERAs aren't quite where they need to be, getting hit a little bit. Now you're talking about the ACC, and there's a lot of good hitters, like Coach Backett said, but he's got to be happy. I mean, you're looking at 23-3 and 3 RPI, and you're 4-2 in the ACC. However, I would be a little bit concerned with the pitching depth at this point, from where I'm looking at.
Yeah, you have to give them credit. Like, their bullpen really came through after Titsworth came in, and he wasn't great yesterday. But then they came in with Bailey and on down the list, and they only allowed 4 hits after they fell behind 6-0, and they only allowed 4 hits out of the bullpen. And Malstead, he can go multiple innings, so he's pretty awesome. So they are developing.
Yeah, they
some
have
depth.
some arms down there for sure, but you wish the starters would give them 5 or 6 innings.
Yeah.
Other than Canuck, it hasn't really happened, and Darden didn't pitch well the other day either. So right now they're doing it with timely hitting and on-base percentage, and they're getting enough hits. They got a good offense, and they're playing good defense. But, yeah, I think the pitching needs to pick it up a little bit. But, I mean, I'm just nitpicking. I mean, you're talking 23-3. They're having a great year.
Yeah, he said they'll be TBA going into this weekend because they had to do something with their number 3 starter on the weekend. It's just not been good to this point. So they are going to go TBA into this weekend. Meantime, South Carolina really got hammered. Got hammered at Arkansas. Of course, Arkansas, here's the thing. They played a top 10 team in Oklahoma, had a chance to win that series, did not. They go out and play number 3, Arkansas, and they get drilled. And I guess you could say they had a chance to win yesterday until another big inning put it away. How do you view this South Carolina team 1-5 after 2 weekends of SEC play, knowing that there's some other, like Florida hasn't won an SEC game yet. Texas A&M hasn't won an SEC game yet. Should South Carolina be down in the dumps over the first 2 weekends?
Well, they shouldn't be excited about it, but they've hit better in the SEC games than they have in the non-conference. So they've scored 5 runs a game. So in the SEC, so they've actually hit good enough and scored enough runs to maybe be 3-2. Or 4-1, or 4-2, but it hasn't happened because the pitching has fallen apart, and there's way too many guys with big ERAs, and there's guys that are getting hit, and we don't know, is SQ, he had a concussion or he got hit by a ball in a home run ball during
when it goes bad, it goes bad. On Saturday, he's out in the bullpen. And somebody hits a batting practice, home run into the bullpen, and it hits him in the head, he goes
that's
into
not good. That's bad luck.
That's
right
just
there.
bad luck. He goes into protocol.
Yeah, and SQ to me, more of a midweek guy, or he could be maybe a reliever because he throws so many pitches, and by the fourth inning, he's already at 80 pitches. Is that really a starter at the SEC level? The question will become with him, is he better suited to be a reliever, throw a little bit harder, twice on the weekend, on Friday and Sunday, because he is good, but he throws so many pitches, and it just seems like, in the fourth inning, that's all you get from him.
Yeah.
I think they probably, I haven't been there, so it's hard to tell, but I think Becker needs to start. I think he needs to be one of their guys. McCoy got hit a little bit, but, he's got good stuff. He's got to get through. He's never faced these SEC teams. And you're talking about the SEC right now, Phil, has 10 teams in the top 15 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So it ain't getting any easier this weekend. We got someone in orange coming, and it's not the Tigers, but it's the Vols, and they're loaded. I mean, they got guys throwing 102. So it's really, I've never seen the SEC this deep. Now, there are more teams, 16 teams, but you're looking at 10 teams that are in the top 15 right now, and then the other 6 are good programs and good teams, but, they're 2-4, 0-6, 1-5, 1-5, 0-6, and 0-6 because they're playing these other 10 monsters that are really, really good. Now, it can change on every given weekend, and I actually talked to a coach today. I said, you win 2 out of 3 against Tennessee, you guys are going to feel great about themselves, and the players will gain all kind of confidence. So I'd rather look at it like, let's win 2 out of 3 against the best team in the country and turn this thing around. Let's do it, and let's believe in it. And if it happens, they're going to be really happy. It's a lot more fun when you win than when you're 1-5.
Well, it's
How about that?
Yeah, I like that. That's deep. It's kind of like the basketball team. One of their arguments when they were losing those games and the long losing streak when they in SEC play was they were playing all the best teams in the SEC in the first half of the season, and the schedule would lighten up.
That's what they signed up for. That's the SEC.
But my point here is if
it just means more.
If they can hold it together and not lose their confidence, if he doesn't lose the team after he gets through this weekend, that's 9 games against top 10 teams in the SEC, then you're going to be facing Mississippi State, which is 1-5 in the league, Kentucky, which is 2-4. Florida hasn't won a game in the league, neither has Texas A&M. So you're going to have a chance to win some games. Not that you can't win games against Tennessee, but that might be a tall order. They're going to have a chance against teams down in their part of the standings here coming up after this weekend.
Yeah, that's a good point, but them games aren't easy either.
No.
Florida is 0-6, but I saw them in the midweek against Florida State, and they beat Florida State, and they kept throwing guys out there throwing 95 to 98, and I'm like, Florida's loaded again on the mound, and here they are 0-6.
Yeah.
And I still think Florida will make a run, and they'll be in a regional, and hell, they may even go to Omaha, even though it's hard to say that when they're 0-6, but there's a lot of season left. That being said, South Carolina needs to figure out who's their rotation, how they're using guys. Is Eskew 100% now with the concussion? I didn't hear Coach Manu's press conference, so I'm not sure. But there's a few too many guys with ERAs in the 6s and 7s, and tomorrow they play in Charlotte against North Carolina. North Carolina is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Tennessee coming in. So it ain't getting any easier, but you can't feel sorry for yourself. You got to compete your butts off, and you got to, shock the world. Beat Tennessee 2 out of 3. And then all of a sudden, you're like, okay, we're pretty good. And they are good. Them teams that right now are 11 through 16, Kentucky, Florida, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, and Missouri, 2 or 3 of them might be in regionals. You might be looking at 12 or 13 teams from the SEC in a regional. That's how good this conference is. But, boy, it's unforgiving. I mean, geez. You just get done playing Oklahoma, and then Arkansas. Oklahoma's 9. Arkansas now is up to number 2 in D1 baseball, and then you got Tennessee number 1 coming in.
Number
They're due
one.
to lose still. They're due to lose.
Well, they lost Alabama.
Did you ever hear of Bob Prince?
Yes.
Remember Bob Prince, the gunner, the great voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates?
Yes.
He said the longer you lose, the closer you are to winning. You know, when the Pirates were bad, and the gunner would say, well, we lost 8 in a row. That means we're getting ready to win. Well, same thing with Tennessee. The opposite could be in effect with Tennessee.
But there's no truth to that. There's no logic, because that's like playing going to the casino and playing roulette. And you spin the ball, and you keep putting on red, thinking that it's eventually going to come up on red. It keeps hitting on black, and hits on black.
I'm not a gambler like that.
Well, I'm just saying,
what I'm saying
there's
is,
no science to that. That it can fall on black 500 times in a row, and you're still putting it on red,
I know,
expecting it to come on
don't
black.
you think that Tennessee is playing so well? Don't you think they're due for a down game?
Yeah, well, they got beat by Alabama. They did lose one to Alabama over the weekend.
Yeah, they're 22-2.
Yeah.
And they're throwing guys throwing 101. Like, and they got guys that hit balls 450 feet. I mean, they've done a tremendous job. You know, like Coach Vitella, if you like him or not, the guy has done an incredible job recruiting and coaching them up. And their program is probably the best program in the country right now. I mean, they're number 1, but they won it all last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they would be the favorite right now if someone were to say, you know, who's going to win it this year. So this is a great opportunity for South Carolina. And you know what? Coach Mainieri didn't win the most games in the history of college baseball. It isn't like he's going to quit or he's going to give up on this team. He's got some tricks up his sleeve. This is a great coach. So I'm looking forward to him getting back and winning some ball games. And, yeah, it ain't going to be easy at all. No one said it was going to be easy, though.
All right, we got about 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left. You got some Toman tidbits.
Yeah, I don't have many tidbits, but I have some notes.
Okay.
You know, just the other teams in the state, Clemson, Coastal, and South Carolina. You got Wofford, USC Upstate, Winthrop, PC, the Citadel, Charleston Southern, and College Charleston. And your RPI, the best RPI in that group is 117. That's Wofford. So pretty much them teams have to win their conference tournament just to get a regional bid. And you know, yeah, it's early. They've only played 25 games or so, but you could already tell with the RPIs they better win the conference tournament or they're not going anywhere. And College of Charleston, you know, they had the CAA Player of the Week, one of Chad Holbrook's recruits, Ethan Plyler. And then also, as a note for the Gamecock fans, that Pendergrass kid at Charleston, I've talked to a couple scouts, and they like him. They say he might be the fastest guy in the state. And he's having a nice year. He transferred from South Carolina. I don't really know if it was just because he didn't play enough or what, but that would be a nice guy to have. And in the SEC, I'd put him in the 9-hole, and he'd be the best 9-hole leadoff guy. He'd be another leadoff man for the Gamecocks if he was still there. But he's a good player.
Mm-hmm.
He really can really run. He's a small guy, but boy, he can run and he can hit and he can get on base. Good player. But the other teams, they're gonna have to win the tournament. South Carolina's, you know, they got to get it going, and you know, why not beat Tennessee 2 out of 3? Coastal went 2-2 last week, which wasn't great for them. But they are 7 RPI in the country and the 7th strength of schedule. Once again, Gary Gilmore teaching Coach Snall how to schedule. And one little tidbit with Coastal before I know you guys got to go, Phil, but Don Carboni. Now, I love that name because I'm Italian. I'm half Italian. My mom's name was Calabro. But
which half of you is Italian? Which half?
My mom was from Sicily.
Well, I'm talking about you. Like, what part of your body is which part of your body is the Italian side?
Oh, have you watched the movies? I could be, you know, forget about it. I could have been that guy. I mean, come on. I can slick my hair back.
You
and
can.
I might
I've seen
go
that.
for a modeling section in California, in Hollywood. I think I could do it. Forget about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, this Don Carbone, let's talk about him. Opponents, left-handed, left on left. This is a matchup guy that they bring in. Coastal brings them in to face lefties. Lefties, Phil, listen to this. Lefties are 2 for 30 against this mafiosa, Don Carbone. 2 for 30. That's 067.
Yeah.
So right now, he is the toughest left-on-left mafiosa Italian in the nation. So I'm giving up, maybe he'll send me some pasta for that or something. But pretty dang good lefty, left-on-left. And you'll see him tomorrow at Clemson, 6 p.m., and if lefties come up for Clemson, that Carbone guy's going to be in there, and you can't hit that guy. The guy is a stud. Anyway, that's all I got, Phil.
All right.
And I hope you guys are doing well.
Outstanding, Coach. Talk to you next Monday.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Coach Jim Toman, just a bit outside. All right. Well, there won't have to. You're not going to have to worry about Alabama fans taking over that arena.
No. I apologize, Alabama. I anointed you into the Sweet 16 before the game was over. Maryland comes back and wins 111-108 in double overtime.
Ooh, that sounds like the Maryland NC State men's game of back in the Ralph Sampson. That was that Maryland Virginia? Maryland. No,
well, if Ralph Sampson was playing it.
No, it was Virginia. It was Virginia NC State. Ralph Sampson against Burleson and David Thompson, those unbelievable players that the ACC had back then, back when it was a great league.
Back when it was a good basketball league?
Yeah, that was
the good old days.
Great league. But go ahead.
That was it.
John Rothstein says Sean Miller has signed a 6-year deal to be Texas's new head coach. All right, so he's making that move, and we'll see if Chris Mack ends up at Xavier. We shall see on that. Okay, that is going to do it tonight. Tomorrow night, we'll be coming to you from Charlotte as well as Columbia and the Berge Palace. And then later in the week from Birmingham, and see if South Carolina can get to the Final Four in Tampa. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Plummer. Thank you all for being with us. Thanks to our guests. If you missed anything, they'll be up on the website later. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.